All right. Let's do it. Hey everyone, Paulie here, and it is the Latino Slant. It's our weekly talk on the Book of Boba Fett, and we're just gonna get right to it. I just want to bring people in and share in the excitement and all that. We have the great Kamran Pasha here. Hola, señor.
It's such an honor to be on here, and I'm very excited to talk about this. I'm more excited than I expected that I would be.
Yeah. Well, we've been approaching this from, storytellers, filmmakers, and speaking of, he's back in his chair. Tom
Hey,
Konkle.
I'm back. How are you?
Fantastic, excited, man.
Good episode. Good to be here.
So let's say hello to the people in the chat, the early comers. And really great that you guys are here. Everyone in the chat, make sure you are subscribed. You're hitting the like, and you're saying hello. Eldritch, let me see, who do we got? Mr. MH is here. JP, Book of Soul Assassin, the man that we love, Mexican Iron Man. Lord Eldritch, who is a great mod of the channel and member of the channel, Read by Nature. Zelfried Guerrero, hey, how's it going? The Mad Pariah. Got member Darth Kurikurugi. The lovely Maria. JS and Troy Pacelli. So, okay. Well, guys, let's hit the non-spoilers right now and get with it. Simon, see. Oh, look at Script Doctor, sir. Hey, Script.
Good afternoon.
First impressions, no spoilers. Episode 6. Let's go with Tom first.
You know what? I was wondering how the various sort of through lines were going to start intersecting, and something that I really liked about this episode was it paid off the show that the Boba Fett show spun off from, but it started to show me the path forward of where the conflict was going to be, and introduced a new conflict. So I thought tonally it felt really right. It felt like a bigger world to me. It felt like a bigger story starting to happen. So instead of feeling like an ending, it really felt like the beginning of new plot lines. And I really appreciated that.
Kamran.
Well, I mean, I think Tom has hit the pivotal issue here, which I talked about on my Patreon. I watched it last night. I immediately at 1 a.m. in the morning started writing a review, and I was a non-spoiler review because I just want to share my emotions, which is what I'm going to do at this moment here in the video, which is Tom hit the pivotal issue is that the universe just expanded. The Star Wars universe just expanded. And this is, there will be people out there to say, well, Boba Fett is a small element of this episode, minor spoiler there. They will say that. It doesn't matter because it's no longer about Boba Fett. The show isn't about Boba Fett anymore. We now expanded the Star Wars universe in an amazing way and seen all the threads and possibilities that Favreau and Filoni have in store for us. That's more than the Book of Boba Fett. It's beyond it. I don't care anymore about Boba Fett. I'll always love that. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore what the title of the show. This is Star Wars. This is Star Wars.
Yeah. I think we'll just go to theories before we go into spoiling it, because I think you guys have some really cinematic storytelling ideas, not just on this episode, but the entire season, which is how we've been talking about it. I would really why don't we dive into that and then we can go into spoilers, because spoilers are spoilers. We're going to be breaking it down, but before we do that, Troy Pacelli, who is a member of the channel.
Oh, thank you, Troy.
Muchísimas
Very
gracias.
sweet. Thank you, man.
Tom Konkle hits like on my hot takes on Book of Boba Fett on Twitter, and I blush.
That's awesome.
My opinions of a story have no business sharing a screen with the likes of him. Ah, come on, man.
Oh, that's nice, Troy. I really appreciate it. And I get that reference. I got that reference too. No business.
Nice, huh?
Trouble is his business. Yeah.
Troy's a member of my Patreon, and he's a really good guy.
Yeah, he's a terrific guy. I was just going to say, you have a great audience, Paulie. These are wonderful people that love their entertainment. They love the universe. They love to participate. And I think we're very lucky to have them.
Speaking of participating, there's a poll in the chat. Rate episode 6, Book of Boba Fett. 9 to 10 excellent, 8 great, 6 to 7 good, 5 and below average to lame. And there's a 88 majority of 8 and above. 88% majority. Pretty cool.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
So yeah, I want to hear, Paulie, you have a couple theories, I'm sure, of the sort of long arc that we're starting to see because the world got so much bigger.
I mean, this show is just so damn beautiful. Oh my God. You know, the themes of in Kamran is right on the money of it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because the themes of good and evil are really starting to come out, guys. We're really seeing that not just Boba, not just Fennec, but Mando, Gorgu, the Marshal and his community, everyone, right? They're all going through these themes of learning just how cruel the universe is, and that there are bad people out there.
That's true.
And I mean, this is like hammered. It's almost hammered. I watched it the second time. It's almost hammered in this episode of violence, of it's a cruel universe out there. And then what loyalty is. And again, I hit it back. You can only go so far without a tribe. And that's what Boba has created, is this tribe of lost people, disconnected from their own tribes, from the Wookiee to Fennec to the mods, whatever you think about how they're presented. Story-wise, it's magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent, and it goes back to the themes of what Star Wars is all about. And we really got a taste of evil in this episode, and that scared the shit out of me when I saw that.
Well, and I want to say that because at some point here before I leave, I'm going to give my theory as to what's happening behind the scenes for these. But let's just focus on story points, right? The story has shifted in a new vein. It is a much darker and much more dangerous story with a lot higher stakes. You know, one of the critiques that people have had of the Book of Boba Fett, the earlier episodes felt like a kids show. We've got shiny Vespas and things like that, and the stakes were low, and they're chasing some guy through a fruit market, right? And it didn't feel like the stakes of Star Wars, and people were saying that's because it's on Disney Plus, and the stakes in general are now aimed for children, which is, you know, one of the critiques we've had of the Marvel shows. Because I watched Hawkeye, I was like, this is a kids show, right? This isn't at the level of Marvel, right? What is this? Which is both for children and adults, right? And it's the reason I was pushed off of Disney. One of many reasons why I was forced out of Tron Uprising was I tried to make an adult show, and they wanted to make a kiddie show, right? And so but this was an intentional story choice, and especially showing a careful about spoilers, but just showing a perspective from Grogu's memories, which gives the context, because we think of Grogu as a baby who has seen horrible things with his own eyes, horrible things. And so that's no longer a kid's show. It's what Lucas wanted to be for the kid at heart. That's what Lucas wanted Star Wars to be. He wanted it to be for the adult that wants to be a child again, right? Which means the adult can handle serious storytelling, can handle having someone chop somebody's hand off. He can handle somebody set on fire in a lava pit. An adult can handle it, but the child is activated when he's dealing with it.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's like Grimm fairy tales. I was going to say those are very adult themes. We didn't used to protect children from evil or learning about evil or things in story. In real life, you want to protect your child, protect your family, but you want to instruct them. These stories were to instruct them how to deal with situations, how to deal with evil people, and in protecting them, you're doing them no favor. You know, and I agree with Cameron. I think the best Star Wars is for the child and the adult, and then giving a child something to aspire to as an adult and understand mythology. You know, you don't want a watered down mythology. You want your tribe to have their own stories. The Star Wars is our, stories for our tribe, us. It unites us as people, and that's a good thing. And the most important thing about it is when it's working, it tells universal themes, which is look what he did again. It was about building the team. He's going to go to the Western town that says, this isn't our problem. This isn't part of us. And what happens right away? It becomes part of them. No person should be an island. And that's the theme.
Yeah. And I get geeked because, they've been saying this since episode 1. And, everyone in the chat, which I really love their passion. Everyone in the chat wishes some part of these last 2 episodes could have been in the first episode or the second episode. And it's not that I don't disagree, right? But we're not telling the story. And so when that first episode totally threw me for a curveball, I'm like, oh, they're not gonna give me what I want right away.
Right. Right.
I need to let go. I need to let go and let God. No, but I need to let go of what I had perceived. And man, for me, it's just been this gradual. And I just resaw episode 5 as well. 4, which was the final, kind of like Boba solidifying his Tatooine crew. Then he could go and see where Mando's at, what's going on.
Right.
I mean, to me, these last 3 episodes are bordering on brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. And something you and I said episodes ago was Boba Fett cannot be who he was.
No.
Mandalorian is who Boba Fett was. Right. Mandalorian is the bounty hunter who lives that life. I don't want the same story where they've gone nowhere, where he's still doing the same thing at 62 years old. What I was interested in is I was wondering what his point was, and what his point was is a perfect Lawrence of Arabia point. He is a rallying point for all the other characters. The purpose of Boba Fett, his story is a transformational story. It's not a revenge story. It's not a quest that he's on. He's transforming. But to me, he's become a rallying point. When we look at 3 seasons from now, we look back at this particular show coming out. I think he was the local point for all these characters to rally around, but it wasn't necessarily the story of Boba Fett becoming the Boba Fett we wanted him to be. I think much more so, he is tangentially a rallying point for these other characters, Ahsoka and Mandalorian and other surprise people. I think, I really think that that's the purpose of this plot, is a transformational story when we were looking for a quest or a revenge or a bounty hunter story. We already have that, and they reminded us we have a very version of that with Mandalorian. They reminded us in series, in an episode. That's that story. It wouldn't have had the same impact if episodes 1 through 4 had also been exactly like the Butcher scene, where Boba Fett's going and getting his bounty. By the time we got around to the Mandalorian doing it, we'd be going, and?
Cameron, but Boba did, when he had to, his face turned vicious, and he's like, I'm going to kill those assholes on the speeder bikes.
Yep.
Because I got a score to settle.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I got my ship.
Yeah.
And Fennec was like, I'll come along for the ride, because he was already talking to her about loyalty.
Yeah.
And it's
test of loyalty. Yeah.
It's throughout. I mean, and when we get into spoilers, but because I know there's been a lot of talk about what Tom has mentioned. This is not my Boba. I mean, but are you entertained? Are you not entertained? That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
And if you're not, you're not. But go ahead, Cameron.
There's look, I'm very much I loved last night's episode. I love the previous week's episode. I enjoyed the one before that. So it's obviously on the right trend, right? I will say that there is a storytelling critique. We've got our friend Script Doctor in the chat asking. So there are. I mean, it is still okay to critique, especially some of the choices made early on. I mean, as a storyteller who's enjoying the show and telling people this is the turning point for Star Wars. That's what I'm telling people, right? The critique that I would still give the first episode is that, because Tom is absolutely right. Boba's gone through a journey, and they flash back to him being a child, and he's seeing his dad decapitated, all of that. He's been through a journey. Had I been in the writer's room, I would have suggested in that first couple of episodes more of the transition from ruthless loner Boba into communal Boba, because little subtle things like the Boba that had just pulled himself out of the Sarlacc pit, right? Who had been shooting at Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, maybe 48 hours before, right? He's not the guy that's going to put the needs of this other dude that's been captured first. He's going to try to survive and escape. Minor subtle changes, like he tried to free that other captain, that guy blew the whistle on him, right? That wasn't believable to the guy that's 48 hours ago was shooting at Luke Skywalker.
Right.
That is believable off the guy that's been through a long adventure and learned humanity through these Tusken Raiders. So there would have been, and those were the elements I felt at the time were like, okay, this is them pandering to what they think is the child's audience. You can't have Boba be a ruthless guy and just abandons on a fellow, hostage and just runs off into the desert, right? I would have made those subtle changes to make him maybe see that guy's useful to him, right? And he needs that guy's help to get out of this situation, rather than, hey, buddy, do you need me to untie you? It's like, what am I going to get out of it? He's still entrapped in that mode of, what am I getting out of this, right? He's not a bad guy, but he's a, what am I getting out of this guy, right? He's worth a lot to me, that classic line. If Han Solo dies, he's worth a lot to me, right? So that's where he was. So we needed a little more transition into the noble leader that the journey was going to get him to. But
that's been the argument. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. If there was an episode 0, I actually think the escape from the Sarlacc should have been more difficult.
Yes.
And I do think that there should have been a moment where the filmmakers and the storytellers really put themselves in the mindset of the time right after what happened in the sail barge and everything. He should have been in that character mode. And it's very difficult to conjure that up 30 years later, but you're right. It would have been good to see him be that guy who they had to tell no disintegrations, and then feather that in. And then another thing I'll add while we're talking about writing things is Script Doctor and I were working on our script, and the point came up, wouldn't it have been interesting too, instead of really domesticating the Tusken Raiders, wouldn't it have been interesting to have, by contrast, a more violent and brutal tribe? The difference between the Arapaho and the Apache, and another group, those are the ones that would be picking off the people in pod races, so that you didn't see the Tuskens immediately kind of this nice group that took him in, but there are other tribes that are not nice. There are other
that's people. That's a good point.
That are not.
Because in Dances with Wolves, they subtly said, these Pawnee or whatever were brutalized by these other tribes. So
that's right.
And it would have been good to throw that in there. I do agree with that.
And it's a realistic analogy of the indigenous experience, right? I mean,
exactly.
I wrote a feature script that looked at the early founding, the Mayflower community and its interactions with the natives. And if you look at the history of it, they were obviously indigenous peoples that were allied with them and helped them survive. And their indigenous peoples were like, these guys are going to take this whole area up. Let's get rid of these guys, right? And and that's the history of indigenous communities, right? And so there were, again, the politics of we've got to show the Tuskens as the oppressed Native Americans, the oppressed Palestinians, whatever indigenous group you want to analogize, right? But there's a range of how people react to the arrival of settlers. There's a range. Some of it's really brutal, the reaction, and it's fair to show it.
I think the analogy is valid, because look at the Hopi Indians and there were gentler tribes and there were other tribes that were more brutal in their culture. It would have been interesting to see that in the flashback.
But it's okay.
So
these are minor critiques.
So
these are minor critiques. I mean, these are. I'm only set that up because we're now in a wonderful place. So I don't want people to think that we're ignoring. There are story issues, and they're comparatively minor compared to where we are.
Right.
So this is where we're at, Cameron and Tom, right? This is what we got, and we're gonna bring up the spoilers. But a couple things. We're here joined with Tom Konkle and Kamran Pasha. Please share this link. 24 people live in the chat. 32 votes. This is interesting, right? Because some people just came to drop off their vote. Vote. All right.
Vote and run.
Yeah, 12% 5 and below, 3% 6 to 7, 16% great, 69% 9 to 10 excellent. Interesting. Thanks for stopping by. Hit the like.
Run and gun.
Yeah. So let's talk about your theory, Kamran. Let's talk about your theory before we get into a spoilers and break it down, scene by scene. What is your theory on the Favreau verse, Filoni verse, whatever you want to call it, Rodriguez verse? I think it's that new crew verse. But please, enlighten us, brother.
My theory is based on what I believe are the politics of what happened behind the scenes of this particular moment of this show. The first few episodes were uneven storytelling. I think it's fair to say there were moments of greatness and there were moments of like, we could do better than this, right? And I feel my instinct was because the timing of this show and because certain events happened. Ms. Gina Carano was fired around this time last year, February of last year, which is about the time when they would have been having the scripts ready to start putting the writer's room or whatever they had to start writing these scripts for Boba Fett. My instinct is, based on how it developed, that Ms. Carano was probably a major storyline because she was with Boba in the Mandalorian. She knew him. And I think she was part of the storyline. And they're like, oh, damn it, what do we do? And they started throwing things in here. And, we got something. We got to start. Let's go, right? So I think that forced them into rewriting rapidly. We know that we wrote a lot of other stuff because of her loss, right? So I think that's what happened here. And I think there was that. There was also the political element in the first half of last year when this show was being written, where, in my opinion, Ms. Kennedy had decided, okay, I've been sort of overshadowed by this Favreau guy who's theoretically working for me, and now he's done something that maybe I don't like with this Luke Skywalker thing that's making me look bad, but I got my revenge. I got rid of his girl, Carano, and now I'm going to reassert my power into this environment, right? And at the time, Bob Chapek, as I've talked about on Midnight's Edge, was someone that was still living in the shadow of Bob Iger, couldn't do what he wanted. And so she's like, this is my moment. I got what I wanted. I humiliated him with the Carano firing, and now I'm going to reassert it. So I feel the first few episodes of Boba Fett were the result of both this problem of having to rewrite rapidly because of Ms. Carano's departure, and the political pressure of Ms. Kennedy's reasserting herself, getting her people to make it the show that she wanted, which I think was more of her, what she thinks kids want, because she understands kids, right? It's more of that kind of thing, which, we can't have Boba Fett, be a ruthless guy to this other hostage, right? I think her people were putting in bad notes. And I think the first several months were this struggle for power, which I've said on Midnight's Edge and Doom Conquer the channels, where Bob Chapek decided to assert himself. We started seeing that in the trades and the press, where he's publicly saying, I don't have any power, and I'm going to take power. He's publicly saying it in the trades. And then suddenly the pivotal event happens around May of last year, where The Atlantic, which is sort of like the cultural elite magazine of the coast, which doesn't really focus on movies and television, suddenly has this long article about how Jon Favreau is the savior of Star Wars, and implies that Kathleen Kennedy screwed it up. I mean, her name is mentioned in there. It's just very strange. And I felt that was the moment politically where Mr. Chapek had asserted himself and said, okay, I want you off this thing and leave Favreau and Filoni alone. Go back to your home office, whatever you're doing. Here's your paycheck. Shut up about this. Go focus on Indiana Jones. And at that moment, I think we can see the actual shift in the moment where it essentially became a new show. And that started after episode 3. So, but the first few episodes were tainted with this political war. And then suddenly we see episode 4 becomes a very entertaining episode. And then episode 5 is literally it's a whole other universe of The Mandalorian. That's where it accepted power. And this, in my opinion, this episode last night was coalesced around the time when that conversation was had with Ms. Kennedy. I want you off of this and focusing on Indiana Jones, because this is absolute freedom. This is a return to original Star Wars, pre-Kennedy, pre her agendas about social issues. Even the message that we've got here, that there's evil in the world and that each children is evil. In the current mindset of the people I will call the woke people, they want to protect everyone with language controls, with gender this and that, and they want to make everyone safe. And this show is now saying no one can be safe in a hard universe, including children, and you have to get them ready for it. And that's not the message of the woke, who want to regulate everything to create this illusion of safety, right? and make everything an oppressive mass against us to feel safe, which I think
Right.
has been the theme of the
You
last.
can't manage risk. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's just my entire thesis. I think what we're witnessing here was a struggle for power inside of Lucasfilm that affected the stories. And the moment the stories became consistently good and returned to the themes of Star Wars, culminating in last night's episode, was the moment when Jon Favreau was given a green light saying, "This is your show." She's been told to stay away from it, and her people have been told to shut up.
Okay, so going off that, then I'm not saying I disagree.
Mhm.
I'm then curious to see Rodriguez be Rodriguez with episode 7.
God
Yeah.
willing.
If the shackles are off, God willing, we should have probably one of the most amazing hours of Star Wars.
They've got a top
Agreed.
last night. They've got a top last night. They can't
And
go back.
what they else have been saying, you are not, you know, that could be the case, because we were like, well, how can you top episode 4? How can you top episode 5? And now,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
And isn't this the first episode that was written by Filoni and Favreau? I think all the other ones.
We haven't seen Filoni's name credited until now as a writer.
Yeah, until now. So there is certainly credence lent to that by seeing the two of them work, and he gets to put his voice in, because a lot of those characters are ones he created, you know, in universe. And I think you're right, Paulie. We've seen a new villain. We've seen a much more violent depiction of what this war could be like, that it's actually going to affect people, and they've made it very concrete. I never like it when it's just abstract. You know, there's going to be a war and this thing. It's like, get to it. Show me what the problem is. Show me who's going to attack. And I think this one satisfied that.
I mean, we saw violent acts. We saw people dying.
Yeah,
you know?
major
innocent. Oh, and that's another thing was like you said, there was a lot of innocence.
Yes.
You know, and I was just like, that's that. And again, that there's so much to unpack from that episode, but I wanted to make sure I hit on Cameron's theory, and thinking that, right, taking that in, you know, and I just want to touch on this, and I want to move on, but I do see Gina's character having to be written out. I think she was a part of this. I think it was like the setup was going to happen for her own show or movie, correct?
Yeah, because they set up everything on the show. We're setting up Ahsoka now. Forgive me, that's well, we've already set up Ahsoka and the Mandalorian, but they like to do that. They like to set up. I have said for some time, even though there was no evidence of it, I said it right after Luke Skywalker returned. I said they're going to do a Luke Skywalker Grogu show, and I think we're going to see.
Oh my God, yeah.
Script
Doctor, great friend of ours. What's up, buddy?
Dear Yoda.
Dear Yoda, do I hope we can see and shackle free Rodriguez?
Oh, hope you do. Hope you do, huh?
I do, yeah.
That's funny. You know what? That's an interesting point. Without giving a spoiler, I think the entire episode showed us that there were two paths that could be chosen. And it was metaphorical, but also really important to the direction of the show. And I love that they kind of left us hanging, but it very clearly laid out two paths that this story could go, and literally. And I feel like that was calculated. And I do like the elegant way in which they handled the Mandalorian wanting to see Grogu. I love the elegance by which he gently, there's a great line in it where it's like, it's never easy asking for a favor. And
so many great lines.
That circling each other, that was a very kind of, I love, that was like I was thinking to myself, like, that's an old school masculine Western kind of way of handling it. It's like, I'm not going to ask for this, but you know what I'm asking for. And then without saying yes, he says yes, you know, and I thought that was terrifically handled. Yeah.
Well, I want to just address what you just said. That's so pivotal. This is an episode about choices.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get at some point. I may not be around because I can only hang another half hour. I may not be around for the actual moment in the scene where characters presented with a pivotal choice that everyone's talking about. And there's a lot of people that are concerned. I've seen it already in the YouTube comments. People are like, they're gonna make the wrong choice here. I'm like, as a writer, when you end an episode with a cliffhanger of you have a choice, the writer knows exactly what that choice is, and he's trying to agitate you and get you on the edge of your seat. But the idea that the character will make the wrong choice, he may even appear to make the wrong choice for a bit.
Yeah.
But when you write that, you know exactly what the end result of that is. The idea is that if you actually want the character to be ruined, you don't give the character a choice. You just ruin them.
Yeah.
You just ruin them. I mean, if somebody has the agenda of messing up the story, they don't give you a choice of it. They just give it. That's the Last Jedi. There's no choice. This is rammed down our throat. This is the garbage you're going to get, right? There was no choice presented to us as to what path Luke Skywalker could have taken. He just throws a lightsaber over his shoulder, right?
Right. Yeah, there was no ambiguity there. Yeah.
Retcon.
Don't give you choices. People that want it to be good give you choices, and that's George Lucas's philosophy.
So let's get into spoilers, guys.
Okay.
And people in the chat, we're gonna go deep. And so if you don't want any spoilers, please come on back.
Now.
Yeah, hit the replay. But we open in the West or in the outskirts, or with the Marshal.
Yeah. Terrific. And nice nice touch coming off the little moisture farm, coming down into that. You really feel that that's a border, that's a territory, and he's saying, go no further. And I love that negotiation because it's like a great standoff situation between them. And then they did something really surprising with the spice. I thought it was like, that's not what's important to him. And he literally shows you it's not important to him. What's important to him is respecting the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, this is the great Timothy Oliphant, correct?
Yeah, Timothy Oliphant, which I think it was a great character, and I'm really surprised what they did with his character. It was a nice, chancy thing they did.
Well, they brought it emotionally fulfilling. It was a choice that was emotionally fulfilling and established the stakes that this is not a kid's show anymore.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to be okay. Yeah.
Trying to get,
but look at it. I mean, look at the swagger. Look at the swagger he's got.
Yeah, he's like, it's a lanky gunfighter, and
he's going back to Deadwood. He's back in Deadwood.
Yeah. That's exactly why they chose him. He's perfect shorthand for that kind of character. And I love the tech. I noticed, when Filoni's directing, he always makes the surroundings part of the narrative more than some of the other directors. Like, you'll notice he cuts to the wind chime, or he'll come down, for a little bit off of one of the pieces of equipment, and you really feel the environment. And this needed that, because this is about encroaching in territories. This is about place as much as it is about people.
Yeah. So story-wise, the Pikes are doing their transaction. The Marshals is saying, "Get the hell out of my town." It's,
right.
Old school.
Yep. And he gives them a chance.
Yeah.
You're
right.
This is basically crack dealers are coming into your neighborhood.
Right.
That's what's happening here. And you've got the one guy that's sort of the Nation of Islam guy that's sent in to clean it up, and he's confronting them. That's what's happening here.
Right. And he's saying, no, you can take your stuff and go, but that's it. And and I love how they handle the resolution of it. Great little standoff. Yeah.
So there's a little standoff, which won't be the last one in this episode. Tell me about this camera angle. The camera's looking up to the sky. What does that usually signify? As far as what the director or the whatever wants to convey to us as the audience, because it's such an odd choice, but I know it's powerful.
When I pick a shot like that, to be honest with you, you're doing a POV, which he becomes sort of godlike in a weird way, in that when you have him with no reference behind him, he's literally looming over the character. He's imposed his will over them. And in that moment, we're about to see what he's looking at, which, of course, I think, spoiler, it's the spice. And you see
right now.
you see how he feels about it when he kicks it over. And they say, this is worth more than your whole town. What we have right here is worth more than your whole town. Everything about his character that we need to know is when he kicks the spice and lets it blow into the wind, the town's priceless to him.
Fantastic.
He can't be bought.
He can't be bought.
Everything you said is right about that. There's also a specific, because that is the general, the camera, the emotions you're getting. The emotions are getting, he's part of a vast vista. And in Star Wars, he's one man standing up against this universe.
Right.
Nice.
That's what this is.
Absolutely.
Nice, Kamran. Yeah. Beautifully said. And that's, again, there's a lot of that told in this story. So then we jump. We got the credits and Mando in his
Beautiful shot. Yeah.
tricked
Yeah.
out.
Now, is this a planet we haven't seen before?
This is a planet we haven't seen.
That's good too. Is it? I love the world building that we're seeing someplace, and I think Ahsoka says there's no safer place than this. So in a way, this is his Dagobah. This is his place, and it feels very Zen. It feels very Eastern. I like the world building they did in it. It felt powerful and at peace with the production design. I love that.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Reminds me of the Forest Moon of Yavin in episode 4.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a call back to the Forest Moon of Yavin.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Mixed with a little Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I already got the chills because we know where he's going, right? And the fact that they're showing this green planet, it's like, well, that's not Dagobah.
Yeah.
It's not Endor.
Yeah, no, I got a rush off of that. I love that.
Color's pivotal to Star Wars. So the yellow desert of Tatooine represents the starkness, the emptiness, the
frontier,
struggle for life, the frontier. Whereas the green here represents hope. It represents life. It represents abundance. It represents all of, just like his green lightsaber. It's a green. It's a symbolic color of the heart in the chakra system.
That's true.
We all know what is happening, and the first shot.
And by the way, beautiful integration. I have to say, Paulie, from a VFX standpoint, the integration of that ship with so many reflections, the integration of it coming in and landing, beautiful work. I mean, this is a television show, but the work on it is just beautiful and painterly. I mean, all of that is created. None of that exists, and yet it looks like a photograph. It's beautiful.
And look at these mountains. You could say that Endor was also green. Endor was more of a flat forest world.
Right.
Yavin, the moon of Yavin, was a mountainous world. You had all those temples on or whatever. It might even be Yavin for all we know, right?
Does anyone in the chat know? I know a Star Wars Theory last night was saying this was a new planet. I tend to follow him on stuff like that.
It feels new because of the bamboo and everything. It does kind of feel like something I haven't.
Now, what I think is another brilliant thing is that because it is new, we are greeted by one of our first Star Wars loves.
Yes, actually, the first character we're introduced to in Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Yeah,
is R2-D2.
Yeah,
and how he's introduced.
I love that angle. Yeah,
he's introduced by first seeing a part of him.
Yeah,
right. A lot of interesting over the shots, over the shoulder shots in this planet with him and Gorgu.
Yeah,
what does that tell the audience? Like, hey, this is where your focus should be, or like you're seeing it through R2-D2's POV?
No, you're seeing it from a third-person point of view. So you are observing as if you were Grogu, if you were Ahsoka watching him land. And what this is doing is it's called the mise-en-scène. Look at the balance. The left-hand side of the frame is heavier than the right. It shows you emphasis where he's going and where he's been. Look at the echo of the dome of the top of his ship matching the dome of R2-D2. Nice. And see how painterly that shot is. It looks like one of the painted frames they show at the end of the show. And everything is like a painting.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. The POV is meant to make you, it's choose your own adventure. You're there. Remember we talked about choices? You're there. You're physically present in the scene.
Exactly. It gives you choices as to what you want to look at and what you emphasize. And it's very painterly and it's very balanced. It's very in Paulie, as you know, it's a formalist composition. In other words, it leads your eye in. Just as we read left to right, whenever you're framing something, if I frame something, the top and the bottom have to be properly weighted, and the left-hand side is always heavier than the right. So the right is out of focus because that's not our focal point. But see, now he's out of focus, and R2-D2 is our focal. So we're like, oh my God, it's him. And he's going to literally lead us down the path to a new adventure. The path is behind him in focus.
Yeah, so you see the path itself. It's all intentional. This is
it's all intentional. There is nothing by accident.
So Mando wants to see Gorgu. He's got a gift. R2 in how we know R2, he's like, I don't know about this guy, but let me lead him somewhere.
Let's get him to a neutral place where he can be checked out by somebody else, by a living person. Yeah.
And then we get really a treat here where These
Building.
droids are building.
The school.
Yeah.
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 Now that's the school that burns, right? Am I mistaken, or is that the school that burns?
Well, don't
But
remind
so
me.
we can talk about that. But let's talk about that for a second because people
Sure,
are saying, "Well,
sure.
I've seen this. That was that horrible flashback moment and whatever." Okay,
Is it?
what it is, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, because I do believe that this is now Jon Favreau being given the toolbox, do whatever you want.
Okay.
So, but he's a politically savvy dude. So he's not at this moment, especially when he's now asserting himself, I'm the boss here, and I'm going to make Star Wars what I want it to be, right? He's not going to go burn down yet what was done before, done steadily. So he's like, hey, look, here's what Rian Johnson did. Now, later, you're going to see what I'm going to do to it, right? But he's giving you these hints, in my opinion, because I'd heard from people who work on Jon Favreau's crew that he didn't like The Last Jedi. He was quite shocked by it. And as a fan, he reached out to Disney saying this is the wrong move. So if that is true, my friends are not exaggerating what they claim he said to them, right? If they're not exaggerating that, then that's true. Then he is doing a subtle screw you. I'm going to take what you did and I'm going to take it in a direction that isn't what you did.
Because he's rebuilding. We're seeing him build it from the ground up, his way, his vision.
Yes.
And, two things in the chat. Your Muslim uncle for $4.99. Thank you, hombre. This episode had me emotional. Clone Wars fans must have hearts bursting through the roof.
Yep. Very much so.
Yeah, man.
An alternate thought I had is this could be a design that is, a template design, almost like, you have a model home and you do it. This could also be that he's building a school, and that's the way Jedi build their school. And I don't know if it's exactly the same school.
Yeah, that could be based on. Remember, he's found all those old books that Obi-Wan left him. I'm sure he's doing research.
So it could be a template.
He's found old designs.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be a template as well. Which goes to your whole theory of Favreau rebuilding it. I'd love to retcon that because I really thought they did a disservice to the idea of Luke passing on his knowledge and that he failed at it. I think that's a terrible idea.
Absolutely.
But wouldn't it be fun, like literally fun, to see them actually develop that, where there is a school of Jedi and it's the struggles of people learning that, and that becomes Luke's second mission in life, is to pass on his knowledge. He's one of the few people that can. It would be really interesting because the stories that branch off of it as people graduate, as people become Jedi or people fail as Jedi, it's a terrific idea to impart knowledge that way.
I want to hear really fast. I know we have you for a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
I'm very curious, and I wanted to say this earlier.
Yeah.
Like you said, 2-3 years down the line, I would love an interview. I would love to hear what Rodriguez had to go through. I mean, because I think we were all baffled by his first couple of shows. And what, and after that person's gone and after her crew is gone, what these men and women had to endure to remember, because they kept a lot of shit private, secret, right?
Yeah, you had to.
They weren't going on YouTube and grumbling.
Yeah, you're on an NDA, and you have people like Bryce Dallas Howard, who she obviously knows how to do Star Wars, and she obviously really exerted that and has an enthusiasm for it. The look, the move. While I was watching, I was like, "Who directed this?" It's fantastic. So if you had her and Favreau and Rodriguez and Filoni all working in harmony to do it, we could have a terrific long form Star Wars that feels like Star Wars but has positive messaging. It doesn't have the agenda that it used to have. We just need to get the static out of the way.
Yeah. I just want to play this little montage for you, Kamran, because I think it's such a beautiful transition. It's, for me, it's stunning. It's very simple, but it's just the different areas of this planet, and then we see our heroes, our other heroes. And there they are on the top of the hill.
Beautiful vista here.
Yeah. And the first they go, Filoni goes Gorgu first.
Yeah.
And then an over the shoulder of Luke.
Yeah.
You looking at Luke. You're getting what you asked. Yeah.
Oh, is that okay? And then the master.
Yep.
Why in that order?
Because he's a master of building suspense. You're wondering in this entire thing, even though it's the first few minutes of the episode, will we see Luke? because I didn't even expect us to see him. I didn't expect us to see Grogu. I thought that was just going to happen off camera, and then next episode would be Boba Fett and Mando came back from whatever he did with Grogu. But no, it's a Grogu thing. It's like, oh my God, there's actually Grogu. Dude, what's happening? Oh, there's Luke. Oh my God, that's the buildup.
And also, I would argue, were I directing the episode, you're finding Grogu, which was the focal point where Mandalorian was looking for him. He's untethered. He doesn't have any guidance. Then the next shot, he's out of focus, but his rock, his solid fixture is Luke, who's again on the left-hand side of the frame, which is how the eye goes in. And then we see them in balance. And the Force is all about being in balance. So look at the left-hand side of the frame. The tree is on the left, which is heavier. Luke is a darker object on the left. There's a wide open vista of the sky in the middle, and then there's nothing on the right except Grogu. That is a perfect indication. If you looked at a 19th century painting, that is a painting of a master mise-en-scène shot that's perfectly balanced. Look at the difference between the sky and the ground is the same. It's perfectly in balance. If you took a ruler and measured it, it's the golden rule. That the horizon line is the exact middle of the frame.
And you hit the issue, which is the tree is rooted. Luke is by the tree, which
is rooted. Exactly.
Whereas Grogu is by the open air, which is possibilities.
And yet,
possibilities and open.
And yet you had to give Skywalker something in this episode. He can't just be like this stoic, Jedi now, like I'm all. He had his first challenge as a young Jedi teacher, which I think is so. What I got here, Mando's waiting for them, and they don't know that he's there yet. We got the over-the-shoulder shots. We got the frogs. Luke is a new teacher. But I love what you're saying because Grogu is very distracted and off balance throughout this episode.
Literally off balance, physically off balance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not physically.
Yeah.
Yes. And all of that is all telling that story, the tree being rooted, being the heavy side of the frame. And you're right, we were introduced to him alone without anyone. And then the story just in 3 shots, bring him in and then bring him into balance. And also this shot is saying this is where he belongs.
Yeah. You got a couple more minutes with us, Kamran?
I'm going to try to extend what I can for as long as I can, but I may step off for 1 second to tell the person that I need to.
Okay.
Sure. But what I'll say is, I just want to say the Jedi Academy idea that Tom brought up, because I've been saying for some time that show's coming. I saw it the moment. I mean, that show, they're going to do the Jedi Academy, right?
It would make sense. Yeah.
And they're setting that up here. But by even just doing that show, you inherently undermine the claim in The Last Jedi that you have this sort of incompetent teacher who nearly kills one of his students. By even showing Grogu struggling with it and having choices, in a Jedi Academy show, some of the Jedi are going to make the wrong choices. And some are even potentially going to go bad. So that would mean that Luke Skywalker will have not just learned how to be a Jedi, he will have learned how to be a teacher. So the idea that suddenly one student having bad thoughts makes him go murderous is an implausible story development if you have an academy and you're already watching. These aren't perfect kids. These are kids that are making mistakes. And he's going to have to learn to manage those kids.
That's a great point, Kamran.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And it's a great next level arc for conflict for Luke.
Absolutely.
Because now that we're kind of like, all right, we got our Luke back. How is he now?
Yeah.
And because he's rebuilding again. He's got no tribe. Yeah, he's got Leia and Han, they're all doing different things in the universe right now.
Yeah, they're not there with him. He's alone again.
No, he's got his own tribe right now. I mean,
he's making a tribe.
They're all making their tribes. Where do they fit in? Mando, Grogu, Luke. So so I'll get to that in a second. So I'm very excited about just this whole him as a teacher, and because as Kamran knows, I teach a martial art, and it's so difficult to teach it properly, to motivate, to keep them engaged, especially like how old or young they are. There's so many variables.
You have to know your students. And I took a class with you you really interact with your students. You understand where they are. That's part of the journey of learning how to be a teacher.
Well, that's why I'm like so geeked about this. I got so geeked about this. So The first lesson is they're trying to meditate. Luke obviously sees him
That's a
distracted.
great stuff. Hey, you got to eat. Yeah.
Right. You got to do some frogs. And then he says, go for a walk for me. And we're introduced to force skipping.
Yeah.
Luke, oh, I love this.
I love how casual it is too. It's just like, come on.
Yeah. Whoop.
Yeah.
He's such a G. He's such a G.
That's great.
Remember how Yoda taught him how to leap.
Yep. Oh yes.
Dude. Which we'll get to. But that's the setup for that.
There's echoes.
So he talks about Yoda, and you hear the Star Wars theme, and he's trying to relate to him as far as he was little. He had a big heart. He spoke and he spoke poetically. Do people like you, where you come from, speak like that? Luke is trying to get some answers too. And then he says, "Let me help you remember." So he puts his hand on Grogu's head. And hey, we got a show now with flashbacks.
Yes.
Yeah. But flashback to something really horrific, right?
Oh yeah, it's a traumatic thing for someone whose mind isn't developed. He's seeing these Jedi cut down. It's a striking image too. Again, look, mise en scène. It's perfectly balanced. You've got the two Jedi there. You've got the corridor going into infinity, and you see it from his point of view, his eyes, and it's everything in one shot.
But it's not even his eyes. He's looking through some kind of opening, which means he's hidden. That's why Anakin didn't find him and kill him at the moment, right?
Yep.
That's why the troopers didn't. They didn't see him. He's hiding here.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is and this is Order 66 happening. And what's interesting is that we've seen different variations now of Order 66. We haven't seen it through these eyes.
The eyes of the actual students that were there. Yeah.
Imagine a child, and he's still maybe 100 years old at the time, but he's still psychologically a child, right? And a
childlike,
watching all of his guardians being killed in front of him. This is, and he says, "I'll help you remember." This is a reference to this. He suppressed his memories. It's too much. It's too much. It's trauma.
It's heartbreaking.
You got to say, it's like school shooters. I mean, it's psychologically damaging. And it taps into that. It's a school shooting.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. And
look at that moment. There's something I didn't even realize. Look at that moment. We see a lightsaber slowly roll away from a Jedi's hand, right? That's going to be important because about lightsabers is going to become important this episode.
And the reflection in his eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reflecting action in his eyes.
Oh God, I lost my thought, but this is a great talk. And we get that memory. He wakes up, and it's kind of they're by a lake now. So like there was like maybe he passed out, and Luke took him to a lake.
He's traumatized, and of course, he has empathy for him because Luke has been through similar trauma, losing his family and things like that. But what it is, it's also a loss of innocence, is that you can't go back again. In restoring his memories, just as they restored Boba's, in our mind, we know what happened. We get a little bit of insight as to why he's so childlike and innocent, is that his growth was stunted at that point. In a way, he paused at that moment. And he remained childlike to protect his own psyche.
Because he didn't have an Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
He didn't have an Obi-Wan.
He had no
after finding his loved ones dead.
That's right. He had no one to guide him through his grief.
Now let me tell you this too. We've also seen a lot of Jedis in these 9 movies. Excuse me, getting all these.
Yeah, I'm gonna be back in 1 second.
As Jedis, doing their lotus position, meditating, but we've never seen really Luke do this.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so I was just like, wow, my God, this is so
cool. That's true.
We've seen Obi-Wan, and we've seen Qui-Gon. So yeah, what else do I got? Yeah, just going back home.
Look how peaceful and compassionate Luke's gone. He's been gone from I just want to bring this up, Paulie.
Yeah.
For a character arc, this is what we wanted to see. The agitated kid who wanted to get out there, fight, wanted to get into the battle and do all of that. That kid has gone on this long arc journey that here we are in 2020 22, and we're finally seeing him in some kind of peace, and he's actually offering compassion and wisdom to someone else. He's always been, in the original series, he was always the hothead who raced in. He raced in an empire when he wasn't ready. In Jedi, he retained his attachments on purpose because the storytellers wanted us to believe he could go dark side. He could go light side. We don't know. Is Dad going to convince him? Is he going to fall to that, to his anger and to whatever? So this is really the first time we've legit visited his character that it made sense. Nothing that I saw in the sequels made any sense. They undid everything.
Yeah,
but in
it's a character that devolved. You know,
I believe that I could watch this episode after watching Return of the Jedi. I could watch this episode 5 minutes later, and I would believe it.
Yes.
And that to me is the biggest compliment you can make, because there's a 40-year gap, and I utterly would believe that his character went from that to saving his father to realizing that he had to be at peace with it, that he tried, and now I utterly believe that he's this powerful man at peace who can offer compassion to someone and see Yoda in that character and say, you gave me that gift, I'm going to pass it on to you. I believe it.
Yeah,
this is the character for the first time since Return of the Jedi. That's the character.
Yeah, he's the guy that threw the lightsaber away.
Exactly. He said, I'm not going to.
Would have killed Vader, right?
Exactly.
To protect his sister.
Exactly. And that's an important life lesson. That's what mythology does so well.
Yeah.
So Mando's been waiting this whole time, and look who pops up as he wakes up. Ahsoka.
Yeah. Which is an incredible moment. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah. I didn't expect her in episode in this. Yeah. And again, the makeup, the costume is just dead on. They chose the right woman, the right look.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what we got from her is I'm an old friend of the family, because he says, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And
you are too, from Anakin's days, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Clone Wars built all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get that Mando is really hurting to see him. He really verbalizes that. So there's this whole thing of she presents to him, well, are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it to see him?
And we know the answer. It's for him, which is his vulnerability. He this is his son. He's being asked to not see it. He wants to see his son for himself. That's it.
Yeah. It's one thing he did that wasn't for money. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So, just how she can't force him to physically, go and see him. She too's got the wisdom, right? And she's kind of like, well, it'll be this or that. Or at least if you're so determined, let me give him the gift. And he says, I came all this way. I see him right there. I mean, I was just
right there. Yeah,
it's heartbreaking. I mean, imagine anyone who has a child. Imagine that you've been separated from your child and you're not able to. You see him in the distance, you can't go, right? But the great thing is, this is pure Jedi. She gives him the choice. She'll respect his choice. She's not going to stop him if he goes to Grogu with a gift. She's not going to do anything. In the same way that Yoda did not stop Luke from going off to face Vader.
Right.
He didn't want to do it, but you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And Obi-Wan's like, I can't interfere. You're going to do it. You're going to do it.
There's an important lesson too I have to underline, which, being a parent, you have to realize, is the line where she says, seeing you will make it harder, because seeing you will remind and make it harder for you to grow, is that thing where when you care about someone like your child, you think you're doing the right thing by protecting them or letting them stay in the house or whatever, but you're hobbling them in some ways, because by reminding him where he was and of that attachment to them, he can't grow. It's like you got to leave the house. You got to push them out of the nest, and you feel that empty nest, but you're doing them a favor, and the one line that she said, it just landed for me, where she was like, he's going to see you and it's just going to make it so much harder. And I was like, exactly. It feels good for him, but it's selfish of him, because it's just for him, and he's going to make him miss him more.
And this is a message to the audience who has been saying Mandalorian can't work without Grogu. They're saying, do you want Mandalorian to work as a story, or do you want Grogu because you want Grogu in that story? Grogu's going to have his own adventure. He may come back into the Mandalorian. We don't know the choice he's going to make. He may. But the audience is being told, you don't need it.
Right.
Detach. The
Right.
Mandalorian will be fine without Grogu if that's the choice that happens.
Yeah. If you love him, set him free. It's so important as a lesson. You have to set him free.
Which he does, and she is given the gift, which we still don't know.
Mhm.
Then Gorgu does see the ship leave and
he
reaches
reaches
out
out.
his little.
And it's I mean, it's heartbreaking. I mean, I teared
And
up.
then there's the mouth.
What a great
I
puppet.
can't.
And by the way, can I mention something? The
Sure.
framing, the hand gesture and everything, that's exactly the same framing as Boba Fett watching Jango Fett fly away, watching his dad fly away.
There's
It's
a
the same
lot of
shot.
that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that. Yes.
Yeah, it's an exact echo of those shots. He puts his hand up on the window.
So now we get what every 7-year-old, 9-year-old kid wanted, was to see
Me, I want that. Yeah.
Luke train and teach physically, like, you know. And then there's, so I got that. Obviously Gorgu is training. He's distracted. Shows him how to see through the Force. And it's very much like when Yoda was in the backpack and teaching Luke running through Dagobah. Now Luke is running and teaching Gorgu. And it's just kind of like one cool training session after another, right?
Yeah.
Like jump, and he can jump.
It's Empire Strikes Back, which was just a montage.
Yep. And he's
I
patient
gotta
with
say
it.
this
Look how
Luke
good Luke looks.
he looks so good, man.
My God.
Ah.
It just the subtlety of the skin tones has exponentially improved. Whoever is, the body language, everything is getting better and better. It's fascinating to me that you're able to do that.
It's almost scary how good it is.
Yeah, it's getting really good.
So lesson upon lesson, and just really Luke just getting to know his student.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
really, really nice touch.
So now he's like, let me show you what I mean by jumping, right? And he goes. And I got here a lot of Crouching Tiger right here on the bamboos.
Yes, very Crouching Tiger. I love that.
Chow Yun Fat.
Yeah, I love Chow.
Which is going back. See, you've just hit the net. This is an episode that combines the Westerns with the old school Eastern mysticism, which Star Wars comes out of.
Exactly.
What this is for me is, this is my imagination, guys. And I was fucking tearing up, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like all the bullshit and all the politics, and you could dissect anything if you wanted to. But this is pure joy.
Yeah.
Pure.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. It's pure joy. Yeah.
Because here he's basically saying, he's talking about the Force. And there's the Star Wars music that comes up, and
yes, that was a nice touch. They feathered in Luke's theme and the Force theme really nicely, and I got kind of chills off of that, which I thought was a really good application of it. And again, great science fiction like this, or in the look of it, combining the organic with visual effects. You're surrounded by nature and things. It just grounds everything and makes it feel lived in, and I love that. That shot right there is beautiful.
I also got very, it is. And I got also to very Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, where you hear Frodo saying, it's a dangerous world out there when you take your first step. And they had that shot of Bilbo says that Frodo and Samwise walking the country, the terrain on their adventure. And you're just like, that's right. What I got here.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
Also, let's talk about framing while you're on that. Look at the lower left-hand side. You can draw a perfect diagonal line from the lower left of that to the upper right. It will go through Luke and him. then it perfectly goes to that little dip in the horizon line, which is their future, and then carries you off to an unknown, in the upper right. But it perfectly dissects, it actually cuts the frame in half diagonally, and it's just perfectly composed that way and with a reason.
Red Tigress,
that's telling the story without
it was so
dialogue.
Star Wars for the first time in a long time. Pure Star Wars.
Yes. It's a great shot.
Absolutely. As we're here at Kamran Pasha for a couple more minutes, I hope.
Yeah.
I've been able to arrange. I got about 20 minutes, and then I gotta go.
Perfect.
So
it's been a pleasure, man. By the way, Kamran, with your insights. You and I don't get to talk much these days on it, so I really have enjoyed hearing your thoughts.
We get to. I'm glad we're doing this, and I'm actually glad we're analyzing the episode, because look at the excitement that people are feeling from this episode. Look at the excitement that we're having talking about it. And and I want to address something. It's not specific to anyone in the chat, although there's a little bit of that conversation happening in the chat. But it's happening in the fandom right now, which is we are seeing a massive reset of this franchise to good. And people are so burned from the pain of 5 years of bad and almost good that they're not willing to accept it. They're not willing to embrace it. The idea, people are saying in the chat right now, people are saying, I don't care. It's all going to lead to Luke Skywalker becoming the idiot in Last Jedi who tries to kill everything. The story's already deviated from that. It's not, the direction it's in can't lead to that. And I can do a video sometime, talk about it in depth. I'll write about it on my Patreon. You can cling to that because you're so hurt and don't want to believe that that's what's happening. And there are people I've been dealing with on YouTube who will refuse to accept that there's a change happening because emotionally they're stuck there. They're stuck in 2018. They're stuck there, right? They're stuck from the trauma of Grogu watching the disaster. They're stuck in Order 66, right? And they can't transcend it. But the reality is, Bob Iger is gone. The blank checks he wrote, Kathleen Kennedy, do whatever you want. I don't care about money. I care about creativity. That's gone. Susan Arnold is a Wall Street ruthless titan. She cares about money, right? And they can see right now from the reaction to what is happening on Twitter and everything else to this episode. There's money in good storytelling. There is no money in taking us down this path and breaking our hearts. There is no money in that.
Yeah.
And right now, Disney is struggling to pay its bills. You need
a lot of passion. A lot of passion.
Living in that world is not reality. And I'm begging the YouTube world to understand, if you black pill yourself out of reality, eventually people just tune out. People are stopping to, people are DMing me. I'm unsubscribing from this and this channel because I can't take the irrational negativity and unwillingness to see something happening.
Come on over to Midnight's Edge. Come on over to Latino Slant. Come on over to Konkle.
Where we have positive discussion. We have differences. We have debates.
Sure.
But we're not inherently negative. And you can't look at these facts and see that this story is heading towards disaster. It's not.
Yeah. There's no good that comes from being negative about it. You want to reward excellence. You want a meritocracy. You don't want, I don't care what you do. You've already burned me. And so I'm expecting to get hit again. Because then what's the point of storytelling? What's the point of creating this? If you can't allow yourself to enjoy where it's going because of where you've been, you're not offending the old moon by looking at the new moon.
Yeah. Your Muslim uncle for $1.99 says, preach hermano. Yeah, man. Nice. Assalamu alaikum. And to all the tips and to Arun, who's in the chat. Here you go. Arr.
Nice.
Arr.
Hey, do a mariachi one. Oh my god.
The stuff of nightmares, I think H.P. Lovecraft said.
Yes. Come on, man. We're going to have some fun here.
I love it. That's great.
All right. Thank you so much to everyone that has given a super chat today. That's very nice of you guys.
Yeah.
Very nice of you guys. Okay. So let's go back.
Let's go back. Let's see how much we can. Hopefully we get all the way to the end before I got to take off.
So what I got is training after training, talking about balance, the physical and the figurative. And then
Literally balance. Yeah.
literally
exactly.
balance, guys, and like
Shown visually, yeah.
Yeah. And again,
think it-
kudos to the work they did on creating Luke is amazing.
and then of course the familiar the what do you call it,
The training droid, the little
training
target droid.
training ball. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
From original Star Wars. I mean,
And I love that it just zaps him. Like this is not, they're not messing around. They actually zap him.
and there it is.
And I was jumping up and down when I saw the
Yep.
training droid. I was
Yep.
jumping up and down. This is Star Wars Episode 4.
It makes perfect
1977.
sense.
Well,
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Or it's Yoda from Attack of the Clones fighting Dooku with his flip jump.
Yep.
Because we all want to see Grogu jump.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, it was a great touch, and I love that they even captured the feel of the droid with the background out of focus and it kind of rotating. It was beautiful.
Okay, so he gets
There
the
it is.
hang of ducking the lasers. He becomes a little G. And then we see his power when he destroys the droid. Now, Luke and Ahsoka are watching this. And what I got from that is Ahsoka presents him with the gift, and that the Mandalorian and him are really bonded. And Luke knows that the Mandalorian came, like he probably felt his presence.
He did feel his presence. Yeah.
Mhm.
And what a great lesson he can teach him here.
And she says something about Anakin. There was a like,
Oh, you mentioned like your father.
right. And there's
What an Easter egg. Yeah, what an Easter egg. We've been waiting for this moment. I don't think we knew we were waiting for this moment where Ahsoka, who knew his father, the only person who's known his father except Obi-Wan, who's long gone, she was his apprentice. She knew him so well, and she's living there. Who knows what story she's told him? She's probably told him about Padme. He didn't know anything about his mother.
Right.
This is an incredible moment.
That's right.
That's right. That's good. So he's really presented with a dilemma, right? Of, do I give him this gift or not? And I think it's a great dilemma for a teacher to have, and when he's trying to achieve. And
the old and the new.
Because he could make the wrong choice himself as the teacher. Obi-Wan made some wrong choices that screwed up that let his apprentice go down a horrible path. And so he's got to be like, what am I gonna do here?
Yeah. He even asked, what do I do? He's looking for guidance. He doesn't have all the answers.
And she gives a great answer. Trust your instinct. You'll make the right choice. And the younger Luke would have been like, would have been such a brat.
Yeah, give me some kind of answer here. Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
He's chilling on the rock.
Yeah. And he's looking at the gift.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. The choice between the old and the new right there is beautiful.
I mean, look, it's a smaller scale choice, but it's a choice that Obi-Wan faced. What happened to my father?
Yeah.
You can see Alec Guinness, who doesn't even know where this storyline is going to go, with a brilliant actor. He ripped you apart watching that because he has a choice. He could have told him your father got seduced, but he didn't. And that set up a whole sequence of events that maybe wasn't the right sequence of events.
Yeah, it felt right for him to do it, but it wasn't ultimately good for him. Yeah.
I mean, he lied. I mean, he discredited the Jedi by lying. That was a choice Obi-Wan made.
Yeah, I mean, there's, and then of course with Luke himself making that choice of, in Empire, based on his personal relationships, on his attachments. So this is very personal for him, this thing that he has to do. It's not like, Gorgu's
if you're
lazy.
always going to be longing to go back to Mandalorian or be part of that tribe, then your mind is not where you are, which is moving forward and being a Jedi.
Yeah, he could have the choice he's making here. Do I even tell him about it, or do I do what Obi-Wan did, which is lie and hide the truth? Right? He could, but he's like, you know what, Obi-Wan, made the wrong choice. I'm not going to make that choice. I'm going to trust this kid.
Yeah. And I think somebody in the chat said something great. This is the most George Lucas this thing has felt in a long time, because he loves Eastern mysticism. He loves the idea of two paths and the duality of man. I mean, that's the whole Joseph Campbell, hero journey happening again.
Troy upgraded to a captain, I believe. Thank you, brother. Muchísimas gracias. And then who else do we got here? I'm trying to see.
Netters Network.
Netters became a member. Oh, thank you. Wow.
And by the way, they're members of my channel as well. They're very supportive.
All right. Muchísimas gracias, Netters. So such sweet people. Thank you so much.
Yes,
in the chat, I can't keep up with what's going on. I trust my mods, and I trust whoever's in the chat to be civil to each other. And if you can't, then I kindly would ask you to do something else.
It's civil. I mean, it's civil. I mean, it's a civil conversation.
Okay, good. If it's simple, that's all I care about.
Yeah,
I want people to have their opinions, of course. I just don't want
don't be stupid about it, people.
Hey, don't be stupid, eh?
I just understand everyone has a right to their opinion. Don't disrespect somebody personally for disagreeing. I will disagree passionately with an opinion without thinking the person's a bad person, right? Yeah. That's okay.
So respectful disagreement is what we really need. Yeah.
We're back to Tatooine, and we finally, which I think works, we finally see Boba Fett and his council.
Yes. And he's he's got the band together.
The band's all here.
The band is back together.
And great thing is, he doesn't say one word. They listened to Tamura Morrison, was like, this character don't talk this much. Yeah. I know this character. He don't talk this much. Why? Because he's the king. He doesn't need to talk all the time.
Yeah.
That's what the hand of the king talks. That's how it works in real life. The guy who's got the power sits there and watches and sees what everyone is thinking and doing while he plots. And the other guy talks on his behalf.
Now, if you notice, real quick with this camera shot, Tom, is Boba sees himself in the same camera angle where Boba used to be in Empire or Jedi,
exactly
hanging out in the palace to the side.
Exactly. That's by purpose, is that he was always off to the side and not involved in it. Now he's the focal point. Also, you notice he's center of frame in that beginning of that shot. He is the focal point. There he is, dead center.
There it is.
Now Mandalorian is also on him.
All eyes are on him. The thing is, who's in charge when the eyes go to the person who's in charge. So when when someone's like a fake king or someone is a figurehead, no one's eyes are on that person. They're on the person's behalf.
It's off balance.
This is a quick scene. It's just like the Pike Syndicate is gathering their homies, and we got our people. We got Black Chewbacca. We got Mandalorian. And Mando's like, oh, you need more people? I'm going to go get you some more people. I mean, Mando's invested. I just love it, man.
Yeah,
these guys are just
a team.
Well, it's the tribe.
Yeah.
It's a tribe. So we go back to
basic plan, and we go back to our we see the Jawas, right?
Well, we see, there's a little Easter egg there of the Jawas carrying the on top of that's the Creek Dragon.
A little memory, because they steal everything. I mean, they're just scavengers. They'll steal everything. Because they know some collector's gonna pay a lot of credits for that.
So, somebody's got to have it. If they don't have it, show us where it's parked. They'll be able to get it for you.
So and I like the approach with this guy. This guy sort of, this is an episode of apprentices and masters. So this is the apprentice. This is the deputy who doesn't know who this new character is showing up. And, and the guy's got the Mandalorian armor, suggests he's maybe a bounty hunter. So this guy's already on I'm a cop. This guy looks like he's going to be trouble.
Right. And he's got, he doesn't know how to wield real power.
No, notice his hand is by his gun the whole time. Like a good gunslinger. It's really smart.
Yeah.
So they go in, they do their greetings. Gorgo's not with you. Let me buy you a drink. Great, like two hombres shooting the shit.
Look at that lighting too. The lighting on the armor is just beautiful.
Beautiful. And basically he says, guys, there's no easy way to ask for a favor. Because they're straight. They're all straight with each other, right?
Yeah, there's no more pressure. There's no economics of it. They can't be bought. So now I'm just gonna say, look, I'm not talking as a businessman. I'm talking as a friend now.
And he's basically saying, guys, that you guys might, and he doesn't know that the marshal has encountered them already.
Mhm.
He's just saying these guys are coming, and the marshal's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I killed a couple of them already.
Yeah.
You know, and great, and it's basically a cantina scene between two buddies.
Yeah, he's when it's hiring the guy in the cantina, and it's just the two of them there having a conversation.
So someone told me, I think it might be our friend Stephanie Janicek, that that at times we'll have a stand-in, instead of Pedro Pascal in the Mandalorian armor, and that's apparently Clint Eastwood's son. I've heard that,
Cool.
or John Wayne's son.
John Wayne's son, I think.
John
Yeah.
Wayne's son. Thank you, not Clint Eastwood's son. He's a handsome guy, very much like his dad. But John Wayne's son, and so you can feel the swagger. This is very much a John Wayne kind of movie.
Yeah, very much.
Talk cinematically. Talk us through this transition, guys. I just want to play it, because this is huge, right? It smiles.
It's using something called It's using something cinematically called depth of field, and also it's using a cutaway to make you feel the environment. It's very calculated that he's a man alone from the rest of society. The background, they're out of focus. It's him. It's high noon. He's the guy who's like, you know what? Get everybody together. I'm going to have a conversation. See, you cut away. This is a Filoni trick. Not only in the opening shot, remember we went down one of those things to introduce his character at the border with the Spice Raiders. Now it's in the background. You've got this sort of blowing in the wind, fates cutaway, but you also feel the sparseness of that town, but that's his connectedness to society. He's about to separate from it and defend it. And so when he turns like that and looks, there's fate. And that's a shot right out of Lawrence of Arabia, where the heat haze is there. But notice he's in dead center of the frame. He's very commanding as a presence, and he's inevitable. He's someone that is going to be an immovable object that his character has to confront. And we're seeing a man in his last moments. And that's so important with the way he's framed apart from everything. He's off balance. You notice now the frame is the right-hand side is heavier than the left. The left is open. He's off balance. He's not at his full strength, but he's going to step out and try and defend him. Every shot is not wasted.
And look at Oliphant's acting. Look at that. The look on his face conveys everything right there. He's nervous. Just a dude walking in the desert, but this guy has seen everything. He knows the vibe. The body language of that dude approaching is bad news. That's
right. You can feel the hair standing up on his neck. Yeah.
And the distance of the shot, you don't know if you're looking at a Sith Lord. You don't know if Darth Maul's about to show up because of the flowing look of the cape, right? You don't know exactly what
you have no idea. It's like a vision.
It's bad.
Yeah.
You know it's bad because there's a confidence in walking the desert like that with nobody there. You're unafraid of anything. You have no help. You're walking with a swagger. You know you're in charge.
It's death. Yeah.
So finally, this figure reveals himself. He's the bounty hunter, Cad Bane.
Yeah, a completely Van Cleef kind of move too. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I was just completely scared of this guy.
I mean, this is the OK Corral. Look at the scene. I mean, this is the OK Corral moment, right? And and it's a scary scene. The whole thing is this sense of dread, and the fact that they don't show his eyes.
Yeah, for a long time, we're just looking at that. Yeah.
It's also a sign of power. You're so far beneath me, I don't even have to look at you.
I don't have to even look at you to talk to you.
You're not a threat to me.
Okay, so what I got is basically let the spice flow, or we're gonna wipe all you guys out. We're in charge, and really representing the true villain is the syndicate, maybe someone even more sinister. He mentions that Boba was a killer who worked for the Empire, so you might be, doing, aligning yourself with the wrong people. He's telling them. So what I'm getting here, guys, is pure violence, chaos, universe, because that's where the universe has been the 5 years since the fall of the Empire. It's been chaotic,
right?
Yeah,
which would make sense.
That line about Boba Fett, that struck me. That was put in there because in my, now here I'm going back to my conspiracy theory. Really, what's happening here is that Jon Favreau and Filoni were aware that the earlier episodes that were, in my opinion, interfered with by the Lucasfilm Story Group did not capture that. So they're reminding that now that we're in charge, he's going to be that. That's why he didn't say a word here, because he's a scary killer too. That's why Boba Fett didn't say one word in this episode, right? Because he doesn't need to. Just like, he's and their adversaries. You've got, the genius of that line was put there. You don't need to. That line didn't serve any purpose except to remind the audience, we know what Boba Fett is. We'll get him there. Don't you worry about it.
Right.
Oh my God, what a shot! What a shot!
Yeah, it's a great shot.
So
introduction of that character.
Yeah. The production level last couple episodes on another level. Cad takes them both out. I think it's safe to say the deputy died. We don't know if Cobb, the marshal, is dead.
He's not looking too good. Yeah.
Well, my screen, weird thing happens with my Disney Plus. Sometimes the captions come on automatically. So captions came on, and it's interesting. Even though I couldn't hear it, the captions had the people in the crowd saying, "Is he dead? Is he alive? Can we get a medic?" It's not clear, right?
So he may
come back. He may come back.
That guy's properly dead. Yeah, but I don't know.
No, the deputy's dead. The young
deputy is dead because we don't care about it.
I even love the sound of the gun they gave him. It's just such a unique sound. And see, again, look at the framing. Left-hand side of the frame is heavier, cuts exactly in the middle of the frame. It's beautiful.
Now, it would make sense, too, even though we see the bartender kind of change his colors, maybe he'll be the new leader. But what I'm seeing here is the innocent, the people who didn't want to get involved, they are forced.
Yeah, you can't be apathetic.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
right? Typical.
And they're scared.
And now the Pikes, you're really seeing them screwing with all people all over Tatooine, and unfortunately,
this is a gangster move.
Remember this. That's what I forgot to say. Yep. When he shows up, when Cade shows up, he's providing him a choice. He's like, you don't have to get involved with Boba Fett. You just have to stay out of the way, right?
Just stay out of the way.
It's about choice. It's all about choice. He's not. If he was, a villain, he'd just come in. I'm going to kill all of you guys because I heard you shot a couple of my guys. He's like, no, I get it. It's the law of the West. But I'm telling you, from this point on, you got a choice. Or you're going to make a move on me. Well, you made your choice. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so we jump. Yeah, well said, Cameron. Thank you so much. Pikes come in, and they got a bomb, and
it's horrible. Yeah, they're doing a cowardly thing, and again, this was a place that Mando frequented. He knows these people, so this is them saying, you know what? We're going to stir up anything that represents civilization. We're going to destroy.
Now, we will say there was no Max Rebo sighting. So there is a possibility that, yes, again, Max Rebo lives because
he's the luckiest.
He wasn't shown. He wasn't shown. Every musician but him was shown. Like, they made it a point to show like the different musicians. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they did cut away. Yeah, you're right. They cut away to some.
And then but it looks like Jennifer Beals' character is gonna.
I hope not. I actually liked her. I thought she did a good job here.
Yeah,
I
loved
her. I'm like,
she looks good. Whatever.
You made her care about her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, she had a good moment with the Black Wookiee.
Yeah. The odds are she didn't make it. The odds are. But again, this is not a kids show. We've cared about this, and we had a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
We had innocent people blown up. This isn't a kids show no more.
Yep.
Innocent, regular people being terrorized. Yeah. These are
this foreshadows what the town could happen to the town that the sheriff was just defending.
What could happen to the planet? That's what this planet. Yeah,
that's why it's a terrorist attack. This is a warning. All right, you guys are going to interfere with our drug trade. Here's one thing we can do. You keep interfering, it's going to get bigger. I think we lost Tom. I hope he'll come back in a second.
Now, a final scene.
Then I have to head out. So
is Luke and Gorgo in the built temple. Basically, Luke says, "Oh wait, was he out?" There he is. Basically, Luke says to Gorgo, "It's either the Mandalorian and his gift, or it's the Jedi, and I give you Yoda's lightsaber." And how he got Yoda's lightsaber, there's already theories going on, but he's got it. Doesn't
guys,
really matter.
I have to actually stop this for a second because I just got a DM, and I'm not going to reveal his name, from a major screenwriter. I just got a DM on Facebook. Okay, from a major
say it
screenwriter.
again. Say it again.
A DM.
I got a DM just now as we were talking right now from a major screenwriter on Facebook. I won't reveal his name, but I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to quote him. Dave Filoni does it again. It's got to be so embarrassing for Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams to see him and Favreau do good Star Wars. This is a top screenwriter. This is somebody whose career I deeply admire. Just sent me that DM because apparently he just watched this episode.
Yeah.
So that's a fellow in the industry. So when I keep hearing people saying Kathleen Kennedy is respected in the industry, well, I just got a DM from somebody who I really admire as a professional writer who I don't know where decided to send me that message because
invite him to watch our stream right now. He doesn't have to say hello, but have him support the Latino slant because
I'm gonna drop a note.
We have great talks here in the channel and it's an honor to have you two gentlemen hanging out with me. Tom, the final scene.
Yes,
it's the so final scene because he gives him his test. He's going to test his student.
Absolutely. And just as the story is talking about two paths, we literally see symbolically the two paths laid out. I will say this, look at that diagonal again from the upper left to the lower right.
Yeah.
Luke is in center frame and Grogu's future is uncertain. So Grogu is out of focus and Luke is in focus. And that's intentional.
Luke looks so amazing. Jesus.
Yeah. It's flawless work on that right there. I utterly believe there's Luke.
Yeah. So those are the two choices, and we get to see Yoda's lightsaber.
Lightsaber comes out again, green, as Kamran was saying.
Yeah.
But it's a choice to go forward or to go back.
So here's what I got. He's teaching now. Is this teaching lesson going to be a mistake? Or, is Luke going to hold on to the dogmatic practice of the Jedi? Or is it a test? Like you're still going to be my student. I'm just going to propose this to you.
Well, that's the test of Luke as well as the teachers. I think some people in the chat were pointing out. The problem with the Sith and the Jedi was they were binary. They were, look, we're living in a world of non-binary. It'd be hilarious if we finally have a non-binary discussion here about the Sith philosophies. Which is fluid. Look, Ahsoka is his friend. Ahsoka said, I'm not a Jedi anymore. I'm a gray Jedi. Because the Jedi were full of crap. I mean, the Jedi destroyed themselves. They really made a lot of dumb mistakes. And they made a lot of dumb mistakes with Anakin that were not right. They did a lot of wrong things that Anakin was like, I'm done with you guys. So we're living in a world. And so now he doesn't have anybody teaching him. He's got to figure this out for himself. So maybe the lesson is I got to take what's best in all of this, right? Which is the lesson of Cobra Kai. I got to maybe take the lesson from, maybe not everything Miyagi taught me was right.
Right.
Maybe there's some truth in my adversary, which is the journey of wisdom of the Tao. That's the journey that within the symbol of the Tao, that the Tai Chi symbol, you've got a dot of darkness amidst the light and a dot of light amidst the dark. That's the wisdom.
Yes. For me, wisdom is knowing what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Grogu at the final frame. He looks to the Mando gift. He looks to the saber. Then he looks back at Luke, and that's it. That's it. That's the episode.
Yeah, and a beautiful payoff. So simple, but I felt the cliffhanger feeling. I'm sure you did, Paulie and Kamran. It's like I was like, and then it went out, and I was like, of course. It's a perfect lead to the last episode. And
let me address the fear that people had. However the next episode plays out, maybe Grogu makes the choice to go back to the Mandalorian. That's okay because they've plotted out what that choice leads to.
Right.
And they plotted out what the other choice leads to. Whatever choice that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have made will be good for Star Wars. People are afraid he'll make the wrong choice and we're going to end up with The Last Jedi. That's not on the rails.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with it.
It leads to good outcome because these people want a good outcome. And be prepared for surprises. Maybe he does decline the saber and goes back to demand. Maybe that next season is all about Grogu's new journey. But whatever that is going to lead to a good outcome for everyone, storytelling wise.
Agreed.
So let me just tell you, I want to throw the themes out here and then comment on that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic 39 people in the chat the whole time. You guys are amazing. Love you guys. Thank you for all your support. I got the themes here of loss, of hope, of tribe, of family, of loyalty, of strength. And I go back to that line, you only get so far without a tribe.
Yeah.
And I think that they so it's like you damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? People aren't happy that Boba wasn't in. It's like, wait a minute, I thought you didn't like him for 4 episodes. Now you want him for 2 episodes? That tells me that you were paying attention to his arc.
Yeah.
Now, because he wasn't there, they wanted you to see as a viewer how his other tribe members are doing, namely Mando, then Grogu. Then we got the gift of Luke and Ahsoka. So, gentlemen, your thoughts?
Cameron?
Well, I mean, look, I think that the overarching thought I want to say is that this episode is thematically George Lucas. More than anything I have seen since Disney Star Wars, Rogue One came close. This is thematically George Lucas. It is going back to the things that George Lucas wanted Star Wars to be about, on all the issues and all the conflicts. And it's also visually, not just in the sense of lightsabers and planets. That's not. In the sense of editorial cuts. Star Wars, if you remember, Star Wars is always about cutting away from Tatooine to Vader to Hoth to it's Bespin. It's always about cutting away to another story. That's what this entire episode is, cutting away to another story, to another story, to another story, because it's part of a space opera. It's an epic. They captured that for the first time, more than anything I've seen on Disney Star Wars to date.
I agree. And just to dovetail on that, overriding theme is we're seeing a storytelling where they make us care about the various pieces on the chessboard. Boba Fett, ultimately, as I look back on the series, was much more about him being a catalyst than a bounty hunter. And I think the echoes in each character's development all go back to, as Paulie said, finding your tribe, that no person is an island. And most importantly, everyone has a choice. You can go one way or the other. And every little choice you make will determine your fate and your outcome. And this has played out over and over and over again. Mando getting rejected by his tribe and wanting so desperately to be part of it, but realizing he's better off outside of it. Boba Fett going, I'm not going to be that guy anymore. I'm going to rule over it in a different way. The theme of Grogu choosing a path. Do I take the peaceful path of the Jedi, or do I still have my attachment and I go back? I go back for Mandalorian and for myself, rather than become a force, that is a more neutral force. And I think what we're seeing is really masterful storytelling going on that had a slow burn that irritated the hell out of everybody. But in retrospect, if you cut this whole thing together as one master thing and sat and watched it, they earned all the pauses, they earned all the quiet moments, and ultimately it developed what I call a head of steam. And what I mean by that is developing a head of steam by the cross-cutting, by all the different things happening. If you look at this in toto as a story, things happened in more and more compressed periods of time. Everything started slow and languid, and we were getting reoriented because we literally didn't know who we were, and neither did the main character. And now we're meeting each part of the tribe, and they're making us care about them. And I think the payoff to this entire season is going to be, this is the branch by which everything else is going to spring off. It's going to be all the different stories that we have, and we spent time with characters that were very, very developed and recognizable as their character. So it was not only fixing what was broken, but it was setting it on the right path again.
I agree. And they did it politically geniusly, because they managed whatever the politics behind the scenes are and got it to a place that I don't think anybody expected them to actually get it to. This episode was more than I imagined was possible. And that's wonderful. To give me more than I thought was possible, that says it all.
That's enough. Yeah.
Before we go, guys, I just want to thank the 61 votes that we got.
Not bad.
Yeah, pretty beautiful. 72%, 9 to 10 excellent, 13% great, 8% good, 7% below average, 50 likes, all that good stuff. You guys been amazing in the chat. And my mods, if you guys can grab Cameron's and Tom's links again, that would be great as
Thank
we
you.
bid adieu.
Yes.
Cameron, why don't you let us know what's going on with you? And thanks for
What's
being
going
here.
on? Well, thank you. And I've got there's some stuff going on that I can't actually reveal yet professionally, because people are like, "Dude, you're always on YouTube. Don't you have like a job?" I'm like, "Yeah, I actually do have a job." And there's stuff that I want to be able to share. Yeah, I actually do have a job as a screenwriter, and there's stuff I want to be able to share. And God willing, I'll share it on Latino Slant soon. I'll hopefully be in a position where I'm actually allowed to say it. But there's some good stuff happening. But the first place I will reveal it will be on my Patreon, which just crossed 200 members. When I use the word members, it's a membership. I started off with just here's my opinions on Star Wars. Here's stuff that I can't say publicly about certain people, and come join it. And now in the few months it's been on, it's become a living community. There's people on there that there are multiple Disney employees that are leaking things to me on the Patreon and joining our conversations, and it's blowing me away. It's become a living entity that's sharing information, conversation, and debate, and scooping things just internally. So please come join us. There's a link in the chat, because I'd love for you all to join this community, because now it's like, before it was me talking, now it's me saying a little bit and everyone else jumping in and providing information and ideas, which is really amazing.
There's his Patreon again, Cameron with the K. Mr. Tom.
Well, I'm happy to say I pitched one of the movies that I want to do to a financier who's very interested in backing it. I'm in the middle of writing 3 scripts at various stages, one of which is the script that I'm getting financed. As an actor, I just finally got back in the swing of things and have been auditioning for some things, and I'm going to be doing another audio play pretty soon as well. So very busy with that and gearing up with production, getting my company Luminactus going again. And I'll be creating some more YouTube content. Script Doctor and I are doing kind of a deep dive into Lawrence of Arabia soon. And I just really am excited about where this show's going. And I'm super grateful to everybody in the chat, and all the support everyone's shown is just amazing.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, everyone in the chat. It's been a fantastic talk. I hope you guys are enjoying our weekly talk on Book of Boba Fett and Star Wars. Obviously, there's one more episode, so we'll have a nice big finale next week. We have great videos every day on we are your source for Latino coverage, entertainment in Hollywood, music, anything you can think of, we're pretty much covering. So check out all our playlists. And that's it. Much love to you all. Please make sure you are subscribed, because YouTube does funny things. We'll see you next time, and wherever you're at, keep your slant muy, muy fuerte. Paz.
Solo te penetro por